Gosh, you guys, I've been sitting here talking to myself. I've been sitting here talking to myself for 5 minutes, wondering why I can't see myself here. It's because I wasn't live. Isn't that the way it goes? Today's Inktober day 23, and we're doing Emily Bronte. And let's... That's the way it goes. Okay. Today's Inktober day 23. Oh, and we're doing Emily Bronte. Whoops. And let's... Hold on a second. I gotta fix that. We don't want to hear me in 5 places. Hold on a second. I gotta fix that. We don't want to hear me in 5 places. I gotta fix that. Ta-da! Okay. I fixed it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to not have to listen to my voice. Constant. Oh, there I am again. Somewhere else. See, I've been trying to make sure for 5 minutes that I'm here and that you guys can hear me. Because, you know, I have come on here and talked and been on mute. So we don't want to do that. That's no good. Okay. Emily Bronte. Let's do this. I'm excited. She's a goat. She's a goat. There we are. She's a goat. Let's flip this. Let's flip this. Let's go to Wikipedia. And let's chat about Emily. If you look in the description, I have some links today of Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights in popular culture. There's a link to a page on Wikipedia that lists all of the adaptations of the novel. She wrote one novel, Wuthering Heights. It's one of the classic Gothic novels of all time. So, yes, she wrote one book. But it is still shaking up the culture. I mean, there's another adaptation coming out of it in Valentine's Day 2026 with Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. So maybe it'll be like what's the word? What's that show, Euphoria? I don't watch Euphoria, but maybe it's like a Euphoria style Wuthering Heights. I don't know, but actually, now that I'm trying to put together Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, I mean, they must have chemistry or they wouldn't have put them together, but I wouldn't have put them together. Anyway, I mean, they look great together. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying. Interesting. Okay, let's read about Emily. I started reading a little bit about her last night because obviously, right? I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about a little bit here. You know, I don't have to know everything, and I don't, so that's good. But it's nice to have a little bit of an understanding, like so I can look up different words and whatever that I need to, or be able to connect the threads between people before I get on here. But I didn't finish. It's a lot, and she died when she was 30. 30. And I didn't get close to her passing when I end my reading. So I was just captivated. Okay, ready? Let's do this. Emily Bronte from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Emily Bronte, born July 30th, 1818, died December 19th, 1848. She lived to be age 30. Was an English writer best known for her 1847 novel Wuthering Heights. She also co-authored a book of poetry with her sisters Charlotte and Anne, entitled Poems by Currer Ellis and Acton Bell. Give me 1 second. Pen name, Ellis Bell. So those were their pen names. And, you know, I didn't even know until last night when I read this, that she had a pen name. Or that any of the Bronte sisters had pen names. Kind of interesting, right? Like you wouldn't know unless you looked that up. It's kind of, they're that famous. Okay. Emily was the 5th of 6 Bronte siblings, 4 of whom survived into adulthood. Her mother died when she was 3, leaving the children in the care of their aunt, Elizabeth Branwell. Aside from brief intervals at school, she was mostly taught at home by her father, Patrick Bronte, who was the curate of Haworth. Haworth was a town, and curate is, I think that's like a pastor type of thing. Let's see, curate. A person who is invested in the care of souls of a parish. Yeah, okay. She was very close to her siblings, especially her younger sister Anne, and together they wrote little books and journals depicting imaginary worlds. She was described by her sister Charlotte as solitary, strong-willed, and non-conforming, with a keen love of nature and animals. Apart from a brief period at school, and another as a student and teacher in Brussels with her sister Charlotte, Emily spent most of her time at home in Haworth, helping the family servant with chores, playing the piano, and teaching herself from books. Her work was originally published under the pen name Ellis Bell. It was not generally admired at the time, and many critics felt that the characters in Wuthering Heights were coarse and immoral. However, the novel is now considered to be a classic of English literature. Emily Bronte died in 1848, aged 30, a year after its publication. Is there anything more Gothic than that? You write one of the best known books. You write one novel. One of the best known books. 200 years later. We're almost 200 years later. And you die a year later. I don't even know how she died yet. And we're going to find out. And, my mind's going to all different places, so I don't know. Well, my mind's going to mostly some illness that she might have gotten, but I don't know yet, so let's find out. Early life. Emily Bronte was born on 30 July 1818 to Maria Branwell, the daughter of a wealthy Penzance merchant and property owner, and Patrick Bronte, a curate from an a curate from an impoverished Irish family. The Bronte family lived on Market Street in Thornton, a village on the outskirts of Bradford in the West Riding of Yorkshire. Their house is now open to the public and is known as the Bronte birthplace. I'll try and sit my coffee away from the microphone. Emily was the 5th of 6 siblings, preceded by Maria, Elizabeth, Charlotte, and Branwell. Branwell was her brother, just to clarify, because there's going to be another Branwell. Oh, there's Maria Branwell, the daughter. Oh, that's her. I'm sorry. Her brother's name was Branwell. Branwell Bronte. So he was named after their last name. So just to alleviate confusion down the road, that's her brother, Branwell. Emily was the 5th of 6 siblings, preceded by Maria, Elizabeth, Charlotte, and Branwell. In 1820, Anne, the last Bronte child, was born. Soon after Anne's birth, the family moved 12 miles, 19 kilometers, away to the village of Haworth in the Pennines, where Patrick Bronte took employment as perpetual curate, which is again like a pastor type situation. Haworth was a small community with an unusually high early mortality rate. In 1850, Benjamin Herschel Babbage reported deeply unsanitary conditions, including contamination to the village water supply from the overcrowded graveyard nearby. Picture this. This is believed to have had a serious impact on the health of Emily and her siblings. Let's real quick see who Benjamin is. How is he connected to Bronte? Best known for his work in the colony of South Australia. We don't know. Too much to read. We don't have time for you. Sorry, guy. Sorry, Benjamin Herschel Babbage. Okay. Cowan Bridge School. On 15 September 1821, Marie Branwell died after a long illness. Her mother died, which her nurse believed to have been uterine cancer. Her sister, Elizabeth Branwell, had joined the household to nurse her and made the move permanent to care for the 3-year-old Emily and her siblings. Elizabeth Branwell was not especially maternal, taking her meals alone, as did Patrick Bronte. She's portrayed as a stern disciplinarian in Elizabeth Gaskell's biography of Charlotte Bronte. Remember Elizabeth Gaskell? She was our she was in the teens. She was one of our Inktobers. But Nick Holland states in his biography of her that she also had an affectionate and supportive side. In 1824, Emily and her 3 elder sisters were sent to the newly opened clergy daughter schools at Cowan Bridge. At her admission, the school register said of Emily that she reads very prettily and works a little. Let's click into that because it says "and works a little," and to me that's like a backhanded thing, right? Not exactly a compliment. That is the footnote from Alison Flood. 2014, school reports on writers delivers very bad news. The Guardian. I don't know what that is. Let's look at it real quick. Charlotte Bronte wrote indifferently according to her teachers and many another... Oh, iPhone ad. Charlotte Bronte wrote indifferently according to her teachers and many other writers' gifts have been roundly trashed by their teachers. Okay. Excellent. So if you want to read this article... You can click into after the footnote where it says reads very prettily and works a little in the Wikipedia. At 6 years old, she was the youngest student, and the superintendent described her as quite the pet nursling of the school. A little pet nursling, like a little chicken. The children suffered severe privations at Cowan Bridge, including poor and insufficient food, unsanitary conditions, harsh discipline, and frequent outbreaks of contagious disease such as typhoid and tuberculosis. Yikes. This is, like, terrible. I mean, thank God they had each other, you know? Because this is rough. This is rough. Okay. In 1825, following an outbreak of typhoid fever, Maria and Elizabeth both fell ill and were sent home, where they died of tuberculosis within 3 months of one another. After this, Charlotte and Emily were brought back to Haworth by their father. The children were subsequently educated at home and were cared for by their aunt Elizabeth Branwell, who had given up her plans to return to Penzance, and the house servant, Tabby Ackroyd. So, question, raising my hand. Why are they going back to Haworth if that place has such a horrible water supply and has made them so ill earlier? Did they have no other choice? They're not telling me. I'm curious about... It sounds like they were like middle class maybe? But why was the Cowan Bridge so terrible? The clergy daughter school? Like, because of his job, he was able to send his kids there. I read a little bit about this last night, and they were supposed to be like middle class conditions, like not these kinds of conditions. So there's a lot of unanswered questions here, which would, you know, be nice to read a book, listen to a biography. So maybe I will do that because fascinating. I'm so fascinated by all this history that we're learning this month. And, I mean, I usually am not that deep divey into history stuff, but this is There's a lot of juice going on here that I want to learn more. I want to learn more about all these women and about the times and what they went through. I mean, this is just all like just scratching the surface, you know? It's just so fascinating and like heartbreaking and devastating and like they all have a very Gothic life, you know? It's all very wild. Okay. Back to Wikipedia. Early influences. The Bronte children were encouraged by their father and aunt to develop their literary talents and take an interest in politics and current affairs. I love that. I love that because, next sentence, girls were not allowed access to the public library, but Branwell borrowed books, which he shared with his sisters, and Patrick Bronte had a large personal library to which he allowed his children access. Sorry, I'm garbling my words. Thus, Emily and her siblings read a wide range of published material, including books, periodicals, and magazines. Lost my spot. Okay. Favorites included Aesop's Fables, The Arabian Nights, Walter Scott's Tales of a Grandfather, and he was a huge goth guy, I believe. What I Have Learned. Where's his... Isn't he? Romanticism. Literary movement. Romanticism. Okay. Well, I think he wrote a goth... Because he has come up this month. So, he's adjacent. Okay. And Blackwood's Magazine. You know what would be fun to do a deep dive on all of the magazines of the 19th century. That would be, because it was just such a cultural moment. Anyway. As well as Oliver Goldsmith's A History of England and J. Goldsmith's A Grammar of General Geography. In 1833 or 1834, Patrick Bronte bought a piano. Okay, so they couldn't have been like destitute, right? Or like poverty, because he bought a piano. And Emily became proficient in its use. The Bronte children were also tutored in drawing and painting, as well as in Latin and classics. I mean, they learned at home and they got to learn all this stuff. So that's a plus in my book. That's great. And they had each other. They were familiar in terms of, socialization and stuff. They were familiar with the work of Thomas Bewick and John Marden. Let's just click in. I want to see who these guys are. Thomas Bewick. Wood engraver, natural history author. Okay. And John Marden. Who's John Marden? John Marden is Romanticism movement. Is he a writer? He's got to be a writer. English Romanticist painter, engraver, and illustrator. Okay, he's an artist. Excellent. Okay, and engravings of William Finden and illustrations from the Literary Souvenir. There's nothing to click through here. That might be another magazine. I'm going to click through on William Finden, though. I want to see what his engravings, are all about here. He served his apprenticeship. English engraver. So... okay. All right. That's really good. That's fine. We don't need to dig deeper. 29 drawings and paintings by Emily are known to have survived, including a watercolor painting of her dog, Keeper. Look, there's her dog picture. And she did this when she was 20. It's dated 1838. And I looked this up last night. Or I figured it out, rather. Because she was born 1818. So... she did Keeper in 1838. That's when she was 20. Isn't that sweet? Okay. In spite of his desire for his children to receive as comprehensive an education as possible, Patrick Bronte himself was cold and emotionally distant, and exhibited a number of marked eccentricities, such as carrying a loaded gun at all times and imposing a number of idiosyncratic personal rules on the household. Oh my God. Elizabeth Gaskell's biography of Charlotte depicts him as prone to violent rages, once cutting up a dress belonging to his wife because he felt it encouraged vanity. I think this is like a guy raising his daughters without his wife, and he just like, he's also a religious man, let's not forget. So I'm sure that plays in. I mean, it plays in all the time at these times anyway, in some way or other, but I'm not I'm not like giving him a pass at all. I'm just trying to understand this guy, which, thread it through, figure it out. And once cutting up a dress belonging to his wife because he felt it encouraged vanity, which that kind of thing is actually very, like, that would be devastating to see if I was one of his daughters. That would be I was going to say triggering, but that doesn't make sense. That would be traumatizing. My dead mother, you're cutting out my dead mother's dress. Dad. And forbidding his children to eat meat in case it made them too dependent on their physical comfort. Ooh, yuck. He was into keeping things from people. Ooh, I don't like that. Although Patrick himself denied this, and Gaskell's account is now generally considered to have been an exaggeration. So really, what's the truth? He had retained an Irish accent, which the siblings shared as children. They all had Irish accents, and this contributed to the perception that they were outsiders, never quite fitting into the Yorkshire community. A local woman later told Elizabeth Gaskell, and remember, Elizabeth Gaskell is, she is also a Gothic author, but she did a biography of, I think, Charlotte. I think she did a Charlotte Bronte. So when they refer back to Elizabeth Gaskell, that's who she's the biographer. They're referring back to her story, her work. That the Bronte children had no friends in the village. Okay, I'm going to read that over, sorry. A local woman later told Elizabeth Gaskell that the Bronte children had no friends in the village, and on one occasion, where they were invited to a party, showed no knowledge of the games played by their peers. It's because they weren't socialized with people that weren't in their house. Probably, right? Let's click into 14. Where's that from? Charlotte Bronte, A Life by Claire Harmon. 2015 book. See, Wikipedia is great for this stuff. You can just like go and find your little references everywhere. Left to their own devices, the siblings were unusually close and remained so, especially Emily and Anne, who were described by a family friend, Ellen Nussey, as being, quote unquote, like twins. That's great. Great to have a friend like that. Juvenilia. Inspired by a box of toy soldiers Branwell Bronte had received as a gift from his father, the children began to write stories, which they set in the complex imaginary worlds of Glasstown and Angria. These stories, which became increasingly detailed, were initially populated by these soldiers, referred to by the children as the young men, or the 12s, as well as their real-life heroes, the Duke of Wellington and his sons, Charles and Arthur Wellesley. The siblings created tiny books for the soldiers to quote-unquote read, some of which are on display at the Bronte Parsonage in Haworth. And in December 1827, they produced a novel, Glass Town. Little of Emily's work from this period survives, except for poems spoken by characters. 1827. So they produced a novel in 1827. So she must have been 9? 1827. Yeah. She must have been 9 years old. And, they probably made it in their house, It was probably, like, not like a publisher. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sounds cute, though. When Emily was 13, she and Anne withdrew from participation in the Angria story and began a new one about Gondal, a fictional island whose myths and legends were to preoccupy the two sisters throughout their lives. I love this sentence because it sounds like they're at a board meeting. I'm withdrawing from participation in the angriest story. But they're just like, yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do angry anymore, guys. We're gonna move on to Gondal. We'll be at this side of the table, working on our story together. And you guys can keep Angria. It's funny. They withdrew from participation in the angriest story and began a new one about Gondal, a fictional island whose myths and legends were to preoccupy the two sisters throughout their lives. With the exception of their Gondal poems and Anne's list of Gondal's characters and place names, Emily and Anne's Gondal writings were largely not preserved. Among those that did survive are some diary papers written by Emily in her 20s, which describe current events in Gondal. The heroes of Gondal tended to resemble the popular image of the Scottish Highlander, a sort of British version of the noble savage. Let's click in, because I want to see what they're talking about. Noble savage. It's a myth of the noble savage. Refers to a stock character who is uncorrupted by civilization. Okay. We all have a visual, we all have like an idea of what that is that we have seen in stories and stuff, right? That was clear enough for me. The Tales of Gondal also feature a queen called Augusta Geraldine Amida, whose character bears some similarities with that of Catherine Earnshaw in Wuthering Heights. Similar themes of romanticism and noble savagery are apparent across the Brontes' juvenilia, including in Branwell's The Life of Alexander Percy, which tells the story of an all-consuming, death-defying, and ultimately self-destructive love, and which some believe may have been one of the inspirations for Wuthering Heights. Coffee time. Just have a quick sip here. Try and do it away from the microphone. So you don't have to hear me. Okay. Adulthood. Yes. Hey, it's already 10:36 and she's 30 years old. She dies at age 30 and we're still reading. So this is quite a saga. Adulthood, attempted teaching career. At 17, Emily joined the Rowhead Girls' School, where Charlotte was a teacher. This was the first time Emily had attended school since her few months at Cowan Bridge. So remember, she was homeschooled for the rest of her life. And now all of a sudden she's in a school. At this time, the girls' objective was to obtain sufficient education and open a small school of their own. Okay, lofty goals. However, Emily left after only a few months, with Anne taking her place. Later, Charlotte ascended this to Emily's extreme homesickness and resistance to the routine and discipline of the school, stating that she feared Emily would have died if she had not been allowed home. Okay, can you say introvert? In September 1838, when she was 20, Emily became a teacher at Law Hill School. Hey! See? Bouncing back. In the Yorkshire town of Halifax. Good for you. However, her health suffered under the stress of a 17-hour workday. That's a bit much. And she did not warm to her pupils, stating that she preferred the company of the house dog. Well, okay. She did, however, continue writing and produced several poems during this time. She returned home to Haworth in April 1839, helping the family's servant with the cooking, ironing, and cleaning. She taught herself German from books. I mean, genius, right? And played the piano, becoming an accomplished pianist, as well as continuing to expand her Gondal stories. These survive as a series of poems, many of which reflect her interest in the tragic, Byronic figures that precede the creation of Heathcliff. All right, so the thread is take from Heathcliff, the Wuthering Heights. All threads lead to, right? All threads lead to Wuthering Heights. Brussels. 1842. In 1842, when she was 24 years old, Emily accompanied Charlotte to study at the Heger Pensionat, a girls' boarding school. I'm going to say that again because I said that all choppy and weird. The Heger Pensionat. Heger. Word 1, Heger. Second word, pensionat. So, a girls' boarding school in Brussels where Charlotte hoped to spend 6 months, improving her French, Italian, and German. Charlotte's further plan was for them to seek employment abroad, although she only shared this plan with Emily. I mean, I have to say, she accompanied Charlotte to study at this boarding school. And she is like an extreme introvert. So, I mean, she must have just been like really needing to break out. I mean, she'd be helpful with Charlotte's want to learn German, right? Because she just taught herself German. So, good to have around, right? She's like a pocket app, right? She's going to help you with your German anytime. Charlotte's further plan for them was to seek employment abroad, although she only shared this plan with Emily. Their tuition and travel expenses had been paid by their Aunt Branwell, and some friends of the family, the Jenkins, had promised to look out for their well-being. However, the Jenkins family soon ceased to invite the sisters, finding Charlotte to be socially awkward and Emily monosyllabic. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think maybe she... Do you think she was, like... Maybe she was autistic? Right? They had some challenges, for sure. Nor did Charlotte and Emily fit in easily at the school. They were considerably older than their peers. Yeah, I'm really... See, this brings up more questions, because I'm like, okay. They went to school, then they started getting homeschooled. They ended school. I mean, they left their school, they moved. They were homeschooled. I don't know what the homeschooling rules were back in these days with the government and all this, like how that worked. And they didn't tell you, so that's fine, whatever. But now these girls are, you know, young ladies. They're young women. And they're going to a girls' boarding school in Brussels, which is, I'm confused. They didn't fill in the blanks. I think I need to listen to a biography because I want to know, were they weaker in certain subjects? You know what I mean? Like, and what was precipitating them going to a boarding school? Like, did somebody want a certain kind of a job that needed... Well, Charlotte's further plan was for them to seek employment abroad. But we don't know what kind of employment, and did that employment precipitate that they would have to have a formal education? You know what I mean? So, because honestly, why else would she be doing this? I feel like Emily went with Charlotte potentially because, you know, she wanted to protect and just like cushion her a little bit. But Emily's like socially not, you know, she's just not ready to, like, I don't know. I think she had a hard time with people, right? Monosyllabic. I mean, yeah. So we have questions. Okay. Nor did Charlotte and Emily fit in easily at the school. They were considerably older than their peers. They struggled with lessons that were held in French, and they were in a very small minority of Protestants in the pensionnat. Unlike Charlotte, who made an effort to be accepted and changed her style of dress to fit in better with her peers. Emily was not happy in Brussels and was mocked by the other students for her refusal to adopt Belgian fashions. A fellow student, Letitia Wheelwright, said of her, "I simply disliked her from the first." I'm going to give her an accent, okay? I don't know what kind of accent she had. I mean, she probably said this in French, right? But I don't know French, so I can't do that. "I simply disliked her from the first. Her tallish, ungainly, ill-dressed figure, always answering our jokes with, 'I wish to be as God made me.'" However, Constantin Heger, who was in charge of the academy, thought highly of Emily, later telling Mrs. Gaskell, that's our Elizabeth Gaskell, I believe, I think that's who they're referring to, our biographer, that he rated her intellect as quote-unquote something even higher than Charlotte's, saying, "She should have been a man, a great navigator. Her powerful reason would have deduced new spheres of discovery from the knowledge of the old, and her strong, imperious will would never have been daunted by opposition or difficulty, never having given way, but with life. She had a head for logic, and a capability of argument unusual in a man, and rarer indeed in a woman. Impairing this gift with her was her stubborn tenacity of will, which rendered her obtuse to all reasoning, where her own wishes or her own sense of right was concerned." How was that? Okay, let's go. Fewer than a dozen of Emily's French essays survive from this period. Ooh, I would like to read some of these. Fewer than a dozen of Emily's French. Actually, I wouldn't be able to because I know a tiny bit of French, but not really. Fewer than a dozen of Emily's French essays survive from this period, most of which are compositions based on existing literary works selected by Constantin Heger. That was the headmaster, right? I think. Headmaster? In charge of the academy, yes. Oh, wait. Is Constantin, that's a guy, right? Well, I don't know. I think, because I think there's women that are named Constantine. Constantin. Didn't have an E on the end. Okay. Doesn't matter. I was just referring back to like the way I was doing his voice, or their voice. The two sisters were committed to their studies, and by the end of the term had become so competent in French that Madame Heger, the wife of Constantin Heger, proposed that they both stay another half year. Oh my gosh, that's such a success. According to Charlotte, she even offered to dismiss the English master so that Charlotte could take his place. By this time, Emily had become a competent pianist and teacher, and it was suggested that she might stay on to teach music. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. In this way, the sisters would be able to continue their education at the pensionnat without paying for board or tuition. Emily's first students in Brussels were the three young daughters of a local family, the Wheelwrights. The family liked Charlotte, but disliked Emily intensely. Letitia Wheelwright later said that this was because Emily refused to teach the small children during her own school hours, thereby monopolizing their playtime. In spite of this, Emily seems to have been happier during this period, and even made a friend, a 16-year-old Belgian student, Louise de Bassompierre, to whom Emily gifted a signed drawing. Oh my gosh! Like, things are looking up, right? However, the sudden illness and death of their aunt, Elizabeth Branwell, forced the sisters to return to Haworth. A letter from Constantin Heger to Patrick Bronte, appealing for the girls to remain, reveals that Emily was about to receive music lessons from a celebrated teacher, and was finally overcoming her social awkwardness. So, like, right when they were having breakthroughs. Wah, wah. You know? Right when they were having breakthroughs. Oh, that's sad. However, she remained in Haworth to take over the running of the household while Charlotte returned to Brussels without her. Oh my gosh. Oh, you can't have your own life. You have to be, you know, a cog in my life. In 1884, on Charlotte's return, the sisters attempted to open a school at the parsonage, but the venture failed when they proved unable to attract students to the remote area. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see, where are we? Oh my god, we're not gonna finish this. Okay. Let's skip down. Do we not want to find out how she dies? Because I do. I have a lot more to read. Okay. Autism and anorexia. Here we go. Oh, here. Okay, let's read this. Let's skip down to this. Autism and anorexia. Emily's solitary and introverted nature has caused speculation regarding her neurology. Juliet Barker writes in her biography of the Brontes that Emily was so, quote-unquote, Emily was so absorbed in herself and her literary creations that she had little time for the genuine suffering of her family. Biographer Claire Harmon has speculated that Emily's adherence to routine, along with her anger management issues, her aversion to social situations, and her attachment to her home all may indicate that she had a form of autism. I thoroughly think she did. Although, based on what I've read today. Although she seemingly enjoyed cooking and helping out in the kitchen, John Sutherland mentions her obstinate fasting, and biographer Catherine Frank suggests that Emily may have suffered from anorexia. Death. Emily's brother Branwell died, probably of tuberculosis, on Sunday, 24 September 1848, following a long descent into alcoholism and drug addiction. That's so sad. At his funeral a week later, Emily caught a severe cold that quickly developed into an inflammation of the lungs and may have accelerated an existing Okay, I'm going to say that again because my tongue just got twisted. Emily caught a severe cold that quickly developed into an inflammation of the lungs and may have accelerated an existing condition such as tuberculosis. Coffee sip. Cheers. It has been suggested that Emily's health had been weakened by unsanitary conditions at home, where water was contaminated by runoff from the church's graveyard. Why did you move back there? Okay. And we move back, and it all circles round to that. Though her condition worsened steadily, Emily rejected medical help, saying that she would have no poisoning doctor near her. On the morning of 19 December 1848, Charlotte, fearing for her sister, wrote, "She grows daily weaker. The physician's opinion was expressed too obscurely to be of use. He sent some medicine which she would not take. Moments so dark as these I have never known. I pray for God's support to us all." Oh, God. Forgive my slight beginning of an English accent there. I'm not good at accents, but that's beside the point. That was not on purpose. It just slipped out that way. At noon, Emily's condition had worsened. With her last audible words, she said to Charlotte, "If you will send for a doctor, I will see him now." But it was too late. She died that same day at about 2 p.m. According to Mary Robinson, an early biographer, Emily died on the sofa in the living room at the parsonage, which she had adopted as a bed. A letter from Charlotte to William Smith Williams describes Emily's dog Keeper lying by her deathbed. Emily died less than 3 months after Branwell's death, which led Martha Brown, a housemaid, to declare that Miss Emily died of a broken heart for love of her brother. Emily had grown so thin that her coffin measured... Emily had grown so thin, brace yourself, that her coffin measured only 16 inches wide. Yeah. There's a lot going on there. The carpenter, let's take a moment of silence for a 16 inches wide coffin of Emily Bronte's. The carpenter said he had never made a narrower one for an adult. Her remains were interred in the family vault in St. Michael at All Angels Church, Haworth. In 2024, the memorial at Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey was altered to correct the misspelling of the family name from Bronte to Bronte with a what is it? The 2 dots. The 2 dots above the E. Okay. Although Emily's work was not widely appreciated at the time of its publication, Wuthering Heights has subsequently become an English literary classic. I would say like a worldwide. It's an English classic, but it's just like, and is described in John Sutherland's Longman Companion to Victorian Fiction as a 20th century's favorite 19th century novel. In 2007, it topped a Guardian poll of the nation's favorite love stories. Emily's poems, too, have reached a global audience. The opening line of "No Coward Soul Is Mine" is popular on mugs and key rings and even as a tattoo. I'm writing that down because I have not. In all of my little studies, I haven't heard that. Okay, there we go. All right. I'll say that one more time. The opening line of "No coward soul is mine" is popular on mugs and keyrings and even as a tattoo. Authors who have been inspired by Emily Bronte include Anne Rice, Sylvia Plath, Jacqueline Wilson, Joanne Harris, Margaret Atwood, Kate Moss, not the model. This Moss has an M-O-S-S-E, E at the end of her name. Dorothy Coomson and Lucy Powrie, who is now the chair of the Bronte Society. In 2018, to celebrate Emily Bronte's bicentenary year, the Borough Press published a collection of short stories entitled I Am Heathcliff, edited by Kate Moss and featuring stories by Leila Abulala, Hanan Al-Shaikh, Joanna Cannon, Alison Case, Juno Dawson, Louise Doty, Sophie Hannah, Anna James, Erin Kelly, Dorothy Coomson, Grace McLean, Lisa McInerney, Laurie Penny, Nikesh Shukla, Michael Stewart, and Louisa Young. And then adaptations. Oh my gosh, you guys. I thought this might do this. Oh, music. Kate Bush. Okay, music. Here we go. I knew we were going to go. I knew this was going to be a lot, but it's already 11 o'clock now. But you know what? Let's just keep going real quick. Real quick. Biographical depictions. Numerous adaptations also exist depicting the sisters and their lives. The 1946 film Devotion was a highly fictionalized account of the lives of the Bronte sisters. In the 2019 film How to Build a Girl, Emily and Charlotte Bronte are among the historical figures in Joanna's wall collage. Cheers. In the 2022 film Emily, written and directed by Frances O'Connor, Emma Mackey plays the role of Emily Bronte before the publication of Wuthering Heights. The film mixes known biographical details with imagined situations and relationships. In 2017, Catherine Valente wrote The Glass House Game, which reimagines the Bronte siblings as characters in their own version of C.S. Lewis Narnia books. That's what this reminded me of. Their whole stories, their whole juvenilia stories reminded me of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I mean, I didn't read their stories or anything, but just from hearing them describe it sounded like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe vibes. In 2020, graphic novelist Isabel Greenberg adapted Glasstown into a graphic novel that combines the Brontes' early fiction with memoir. Ooh, this is all like great. This is all really good stuff to know. Okay, music. A 1967 BBC adaptation of Emily's novel was the original inspiration for the debut single Wuthering Heights by UK singer-songwriter Kate Bush, released in January 1978. In 1996, singer-songwriter Cliff Richards brought out Heathcliff, a stage musical based on the character in which he himself played the lead. In 2019, the English pop folk group The Unthanks released Lines, 3 short albums which include settings of Bronte's poems to music. Recording took place at the Brontes' home using their own Regency-era piano played by Adrian McNally. That is so cool yet spooky and kind of like scary, but not scary. You know what I mean? That is eeriness right there. Norwegian composer Ola Gjeilo, I don't know how to pronounce this, Gjeilo, selected Emily Bronte poems to music with SABT chorus, string orchestra, and piano, and a work commissioned and premiered by the San Francisco Choral Society in a in a series of concerts in Oakland and San Francisco. Okay, let's do a quote here. No coward soul is mine. Ooh, I like that. Let's do a quote. I was gonna do a different quote, but I think I found a good quote right here. No coward soul is mine. That's what I'm gonna do. And you know what? I don't know how I missed this, because I haven't heard this at all until just now. I haven't heard of that quote. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit just so everything's like this. Okay. Maybe that's better. Okay. Let's draw. And I want to do something super spooko, because that is really how this is feeling to me. Let's make sure our pen has some juice in it. No. I'm just going right in today. Ooh, I'm giving my throat a break. That was a lot of reading. I hope you enjoyed it. And there are some links in the description for some stuff I pulled last night, and I will go back into the description later today and add in some more that I have found this morning. Here with you. Aren't these brushes just so delightful? I love them. I love this brush. Well, Emily, you made an impact, that's for sure. No coward soul. I have so much listening to do of books. LibriVox, you guys. If you want to listen to some of the authors that I've done this Inktober, and you do not have an Audible account, or you do, and you just don't want to use it. And if you don't have Spotify, or you just don't want to use it, I haven't looked on Spotify, so I'm sure there's some on there somewhere, but LibriVox.org is a website that offers public domain readings of public domain books. I'm sorry. I'm talking backwards here. And it's just a fabulous resource, and I didn't know anything about it until Inktober. So hey. So hey, so glad I discovered that, and so glad I can share that with you, because I love things like that. Obviously, I'm reading from Wikipedia every day. I love Wikipedia, and yeah, so super cool that you can do that. And I did look last night on I looked on Audible, and there's a bunch of Wuthering Heights on there, readings, and some are pay and some are free. Well, one is free, I will say. But I know that the book is on LibriVox too. And also, it's nice to know that public domain, that's kind of why I picked all the public domain, 18th and 19th century. Although there are a couple of authors that I picked that died before copyright, before their work is in the public domain, but most of the ones I picked are public domain now. So, and I was going to say something else. It's kind of nice. I think I was just going to repeat myself that it's nice to have resources like that. I believe in it. And let's all give money to Wikipedia, because they really need to survive. I like to donate to Wikipedia. I used to do it like donate every month, but I did do an audit of all of my subscriptions a little while ago, and I took it off, but I think I'm going to do it again, because Wikipedia is like, it's so important. No Coward Soul is mine. I'm loving the vibe of this. This is exactly what I wanted, which is just like spooky, ethereal, like vibe. Spooky, ethereal, otherworldly, just like Emily. I think Emily did emulate this. I need to get into some of those Bronte sister biography. I'm going to go through Wikipedia and the footnotes and see which one I want to start out with. Probably one that I can absorb better. Like, I definitely will check out Elizabeth Gaskell's, but I think the more contemporary person will have, I'll have to like read between the lines less, and it'll just be like an easier listen to begin with. So, maybe that for another time, like maybe when I have more knowledge about them, and then I can sort of fill in the blanks a little easier that way, and use contextual clues to understand a little better, like sometimes when you're listening to things from 200 years ago, it's kind of like you do have to read between the lines, you have to roll it around. I mean, that's why sometimes when I'm reading these Wikipedias, I just stop cold for 20 seconds, and I'm just like, I'm absorbing this. I just have to like put this through the now filter for myself, so I can, fully, like, maybe even not fully, but try to comprehend what is being, explained, because they're just writing it for a different, a different way of communication, and that's great. It's all great, but it just takes me a little more to fully get it. And that's what makes historians of certain time periods so interesting, because I'm sure they all just have that, you know, oh, that meant this. You know, like, oh, that word, this is what they meant by that. That was like their swear word. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Yeah. Just imagining what it's like to be a historian of cultural speak of the 1800s. Fascinating. Hey, thank you for being with me today. I appreciate you so much, and I hope that you're enjoying this wacky deep dive. I'm actually almost done, which is really cool, right? So I know I did a lot of reading today. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that I gave the time to the history, because I knew not a lot at all about the Bronte sisters, and now I have a lot of work to do because I want to know more. Let's write her name. So this was from Wuthering Heights, right? No coward soul is mine. I'm gonna just quickly, I'm gonna do a quicko Googles. Quickly Goog. I'm gonna quickly Google that. Just, you know, just as an additional little extra check, because it always helps to double check on these things. No coward soul is mine. This poem summary expresses an unshakable belief in the strength and goodness of God, that ever-present deity. What is the meaning of the poem, No Coward Soul is Mine? Means the speaker has an unshakable sense of courage, confidence, and inner strength that comes from a deep personal faith in God. This faith gives them the power to face any hardship or fear of death, as they believe God is an all-powerful, ever-present deity residing within them. I'm reading actually from Google, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Did Emily Bronte believe in God? Religion. Emily Bronte's religion is complex and challenging to define, as she is seen as both a critic of institutionalized religion as a spiritual mystic tied to nature. Raised in an evangelical raised in an evangelical Anglican household by her pastor father, she had a deep familiarity with religious texts, which she used in her writing to critique Victorian Christianity's rigid and punitive aspects. However, her work suggests a personal, mystical spirituality that is more inclusive and free, often finding the divine in nature. I would say so. I mean, from what I know of her writing, which is not that much, but it's enough to know that the themes, right, that she is most into. Okay, let's see. It is a poem. No Coward Soul is Mine is a poem. So my pastoral wanderings. You know, I think you can read into it with whatever you want, however you want. I'm not convinced that she was, you know, religious. I do think she was spiritual, but come on. This girl lived on her own planet. You know what I'm saying? Charlotte Bronte is, no, we're not talking about Charlotte. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get out of this iPhone ad. Emily Bronte. Let's just write Emily Bronte. So if you just got here, just did a deep dive into Emily Bronte's life via the beloved Wikipedia. And we learned a lot about Emily. We learned about Wuthering Heights, her one novel that is a timeless masterpiece and one of the most well-known stories and novels of our time, or of the time. Emily, see, I want to make her name like fade kind of into the spookiness here. So let's do that. Let's make her name fade into the spookiness a little bit. Emily, yeah, make it spooky. Spooky. B R. I think I'm going to listen to a biography today. I was going to listen to Wuthering Heights, but I'm going to listen to one of those Bronte biographies because super fascinating. I don't know who this me is. This is like a whole new me. Interested in these little, like, these granular historical, I mean, it's all so fascinating though. My interest has been so piqued from this month of Inktober and the topic I have chosen and all of the research I've been doing, because I can never make it easy for myself. I must make homework for myself. Always. That's just how it works. And that's fine, because look at how much I'm getting from it. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm learning so much. Okay, I really like this lettering. And now let's just complete the bottom so it feels like we're still in it. Do we want to put something down here? I don't think so. I mean, I was going to say, and I will say, because I was going to say, we could put a candle. We could put a teapot. We could put something like that creates this. I mean, right? But I don't have anything top of mind at the moment, and I do want to finish this today and right now. And I also just want to reiterate, because I'm here and you're here and we're here together, and I've been doing these Inktovers all month, and all the replays are up except for the first one, which turned out to be a person that I didn't want to give a platform to, because I don't believe in their they had belief system that I don't believe in. So feel free to ask me. I don't know if I want to even bring it up, because it's not even relevant right now, but what was my point? What was my whole point? My point is, I'm really glad that I went out of my way, and I'm glad I have curiosity, because I picked women authors of goth and horror, because I thought, okay, something is wrong here when I'm looking up, you know, Gothic authors and I'm getting like Mary Shelley and Charlotte Bronte and that's it, you know? Like where are the other ones? Where are they? So then when I started really narrowing my focus, or, you know, honing it and finding all these women that I'd never heard of and that most of us have never heard of. And I'm just like, wait, some of these women, it's like most popular writer of, you know, this date or like this time. And I'm like, well, how come we haven't heard of this person? You know, like, why have I never heard of her? If that's the case, then what's up? But I've learned so much because, you know, I guess I kind of put the onus on myself. I mean, to educate myself about them, but in turn educate with you guys, because obviously, like, if I can't explain or say why I care about something, like I can't explain it to anybody else, you know? So we learn together by Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. And just my general Googling. Yeah, so it's been really great learning about these women that, I mean, my mind is just swimming. There's just so much that I've been learning this month, and it's really wild. I mean, it's gotten me really interested in history, and I just like, I don't know when I've ever been that. I mean, I'm interested in some history, you know, like not excessively, like a lot of people have. It's a hobby and stuff, but now I am way more. You know, you just take something that you have a personal stake in, right? Or that you believe in and that you think deserves, you know, more platform. And then as a byproduct, hey, look, now I'm interested in this. I'm interested in their lives and the history of the time and the culture of the time and all this wild stuff. You know? It's like really wild. And it's interesting too, because yeah, they had some crazy things that like maybe we don't have now, but you know, there's a lot of things that line up very closely with these days, that in like a creepy-ish way, because you're like, really? We're still dealing with this? Yes, we are. We indeed are. I mean, really, that's like a fill in the blank, because all right, we're almost done. Thank you so much for coming today and for spending time with me and for listening to me gab, because a lot of talking, but I really appreciate you, and I appreciate that you are here with me. Thank you. And I have Inktober playlist. Enjoy if you want to learn about more of these people, and there's a lot there. And tomorrow we're going to do, what are we doing tomorrow? I'll tell you. Hold on. Actually, let me just do I want to just do a little finishing touches up here. Let's go to YouTube and see. Let's go to my YouTube posts page and oh my gosh, guys, wait a minute. Have you been, oh my gosh, you guys have been chatting the whole time? Oh man, I'm so sorry. Debbie, Slippa, oh my gosh, Debbie, Slippa, Nightbot, I'm just kidding. K-pop fan, you guys are awesome. Oh my gosh, thanks for coming today. I just recently, like, what's going on here? How come I couldn't see my chat on the phone? Here we are. I got chat now. Don't be sorry. It's been great listening to you chat. Thanks, Deb. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful you guys are here. I didn't even see the chat, and I'm like, Okay. Awesome. Slippa. Yay. K-pop fan. Yay. Debbie. Yay. Thank you guys for coming. Oh, thank you, Slippa. I'm just catching up. I'm catching up. Emily Bronte. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, Debbie says, I had started listening to Wuthering Heights on the Sleepy Bookshelf podcast, but it's designed to relax you to sleep, so I don't remember much. I'm going to do that. I'm going to look it up. Oh, that's a good, I have not listened to that podcast. I have some other, you and me, Tab, we have talked about Sleepy Podcast before. I know we have. Yeah, I was going to mention something completely out of context, and that's that I really like a podcast called Celebrity Book Club, I think it's called, but they changed their name to Good Somethings or something like that recently. So that is really neither here nor there, but it is Celebrity Book Club, I think. Anyway, they do, obviously, they do autobiographies, and I love autobiographies. That's my thing. I love autobiographies. So I think I'm going to really enjoy listening to the biography of, the Brontes. And please forgive me for just having a little spastic moment there. It's kind of like I'm looking back because I have a delay, and it's a little embarrassing. That's the real me, guys. Okay? That's what you get. That's what you're getting here. Yeah, so today I'm going to go. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Thanks for... I know I didn't start drawing until like an hour after I started talking, so I appreciate you for hanging out. Yeah, Deb, I'm gonna listen to I think because I have to take a train today, so I'm gonna find that Bronte biography and listen to it. I think I have so many credits on Audible. So here's my Audible issue. My Audible issue is I have too many credits to cancel because I have to use all my credits. It's such a catch-22. I need to just cancel my Audible, but I have too many credits to cancel, and I don't want to lose my credits. Does anybody else go through this? I think this is something that everybody who has Audible goes through at some point or other. Anyway, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. Wait, I came on here specifically. I came on my iPad here specifically to look at my posts page, and we're going to talk about Ethelina White tomorrow. So here she is. Ethelina White. You can go away. Ethelina White. Did I do it? Yeah, Ethelina White. Okay. Oh no, this is day 23. Oh, I didn't do the post yet. Ethelina White is tomorrow. I feel like I've really become very energized with doing these, and I'm ramping up. So who knows? Maybe tomorrow will be another hour-long Wikipedia day. I don't know. But I hope you guys have an awesome day. I will be back at 12:30 p.m. today to do my... oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? To do my Night Garden Fairy Cats page. And... oh yes, Deb says I had to cancel Audible because I was canceling Prime back in January. Smart woman. I still haven't canceled my Prime. Long story, we'll have to talk about it sometime. But I hated to lose the credits, but oh well. Well, you can still listen to the books that you picked, so that's good. That's something, right? All right, so anyway, I'm gonna be I'll be back today at 12:30, which is not long from now, doing my Night Garden Fairy Cats page, and then I'll be back tomorrow and we'll do Ethelina White. And thank you for coming and hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. I need to have a sign off. You guys need to help me pick a sign off to say when I close. I was just thinking that the other day. When I close out my lives, I need to have a little sign off message. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.